here with Coach Rowell. Coach Rowell, man, exciting week, to say the least, I would say. We'll talk about kind of ups and downs of the Tuttle duel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we probably haven't been back on here since kind of backing up to Marlow. I think we had the Marlow Dual, and we ended up winning 34-30. It was a big win for us, and then we went to the Chickasha Junior High tournament that weekend. Our high school was off, and then we turned around and had Noble on Tuesday, and then traveled to Noble, won that duel, and then we had Tuttle on Friday, and then we had the big 4+4 tournament up in Ponca City on Saturday, which is just all big events for us, like interclass wrestling with Noble, Tuttle being number one in their class, being a good wrestling program, and yeah, definitely some highs and lows probably of the week. The Noble Duel, like I said, was good. We went out there and took care of business. And then the Tuttle Duel, we had a bunch of really highly contested matches, and things just kind of got out of hand there at the end. And that happens. I mean, there's 17, 16-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids out there in a heated moment. And I felt like just everybody was able to get control of the situation. And I don't know, of course, media and social media and people that don't matter like to get involved and make it into a bigger deal than what it really was. And all it really was is just like, yeah, I mean, what happened should not have happened. Like, it's wrestling that got a little bit too much. And but I mean, also, like, that stuff happens. Like, people get hot in the wrestling mat and stuff like that happens. And in the end, we just had to do what we had to do as far as punishment for that, and just moving forward to dual state now.
Do you want to talk about a little bit of how the Tuttle duel affected the Big Four, and then how it affected Cash?
Yeah, so the Tuttle duel, but Jace ends up getting a flagrant call in the match, which is a disqualification. And so Jace has to serve. We knew once that got turned in, he would have to serve some sort of event out, you know. So we set him out of the big 4+4 the next day, didn't travel with us. So we put Shay in at heavyweight, and he went in there and did a tremendous job for us, beat the returning state runner-up, and got second place in the tournament. And that's a pretty awesome feat. Like, he's only been beat by 2 people in the whole state this year, and that was the kid from Bixby that beat him this weekend, and Jace. So, like, I don't know, being able to have that depth, being able for him to come perform like that was tremendous. And he didn't feel good. Like, he was sick. He's been out a little bit this week just with some sickness as well. So, like, I can't brag enough on how great of a job he did. Once again, like Shea Spencer being able to come through for his teammates. He's like the ultimate team dude in my eyes right now. So it's cool. And then the rest of our guys, like, we had a really emotional, high, like, intensity duel with Tuttle. And quick turnaround into a tournament where there was 10 teams, but every team was solid, you know. From 6A competition, 5A competition, and 3A competition. It's a tremendously tough tournament. And we went out and got second place, finished above Quita in our class, who's one of the top ranked teams. Finished a bunch of 6A and 3A teams. We got beat by Bixby. So, like, it was a good weekend for us. I was proud of our kids for just responding, battling back, and fighting through some adversity. And then, you know, further just ramifications from that duel. We have kids that get suspended. We had 10 kids, 9 kids self-imposed. Like, we go through and just through the OSSAA, they had to set one event for leaving the bench. And I mean, that's the rule. It is what it is. And I don't know, we just served that and we were done with it. And so that affected us for the cash duel. We were able to fill a lineup the best we could. I think we had to forfeit one match, and we ended up losing the duel. But in the end, it's my job as a coach and my responsibility to put kids out there no matter what the circumstances. And I don't know. I don't think that in a lot of people's eyes, they knew kind of the situation we're going through right there. And I was pleased that I was able to at least put a lineup together and take it over to Cash and wrestle them, and not be that coach that just went over there and forfeited a bunch of weights when I probably could have done that. And I don't know, we have a bunch of kids in our room that work hard, and some that didn't expect to go wrestle, but they did, and some got their butt whooped, but that's part of it.
So I was during the cash duel, I was on the opposite side. I was really impressed of, I'm just saying, correct me if I'm wrong, because I was on the other side with the middle school or junior high kids, but I was impressed with the way, like the crowd, the coaches, and everybody was handling that as well on both sides.
Yeah, man, like they were cheering and they were excited for their kids and stuff, and their kids were over there getting into the duel, but there was never any kind of animosity. I felt like it was Cash Elgin, but like, I don't know, their kids were super respectful. They all came over, shook hands, and you don't have to like shake my hand to be a respectful kid either. Like, I get it, some kids don't want to shake hands after certain things, and I don't know, it's just, I felt like their crowd just they did a good job celebrating their kids, and I don't know, not kicking us when we were in a moment where we were down a little bit. No, I mean, I'm not down about the situation. Our kids aren't down about the situation, but today's media and today's just social media and today's people that don't matter world get an opinion and blow things into bigger things that they are. And I don't know, things like that probably shouldn't creep into the sport of wrestling, because we don't want to ever water it down. And but rules are rules as well, and if you break them, you do your time and then you move on. It's just part of life. People are going to make mistakes, and yeah, like I said, we're just moving forward, and I don't know, it's just part of our team, part of the adversity we have to go through. So
I kind of want to bounce back a little bit to Chickasha tournament. Can we talk a little bit about the format of that tournament? Because it is a regular tournament, but it's a 7th, 8th, and 9th. Some tournaments have a 6th and 7th grade division, like junior high state we're going to now. Then I kind of want to feed in the junior high state.
Yeah, so that Chickasha tournament is just one division, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And it's a tough little tournament, and our kids went and did well. We just thinking of results, we had, 2 champions? Dax was a 7th grader that won it, Dax Bean, and he won it at 98 too. Like, it's a tough little weight where you see some freshmen, some older kids at. So Dax won that, and then Hudson Begley at heavyweight won it, and he's a freshman. Beat a kid that had beat him the night before, actually, or 2 nights before in the duel. So that was cool to see. So Bo McKeag got 3rd place. I got him off the top of my dome. So I know at 80 pounds, Bo McKay got 3rd place, wrestled well, did a good job. At 98, Daxton Bean, like I said, was champion of the tournament as a 7th grader. At 126, Brody Donnelly got 3rd place. At 140, Juan Soto Jr. got 4th place. And then at 170, Jacob Jackson got 2nd place.
Luke at 32.
Luke Williams at 132 got 2nd place. And 2 big boys at 195, Tripp Dodson got 4th place. Corbin Penley got 5th place, which is 2 7th graders placing in a big 195-pound bracket. That's pretty cool. And Elijah Mayers is a freshman in there who had the medical default out to 6th place. Got his elbow dislocated in the tournament in the semifinals, and had to default out to 6th place. It was unfortunate. And
That's tough, man. That's an injury that unfortunately you see more than you need to, I feel like, in wrestling.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the more common ones, you know, just elbow gets in a weird position, you plant wrong, you post, and yeah, it happens. Like, I'm not going to lie, I'm usually probably good for one a season seeing one, you know, not necessarily our kids, like you see it from other kids too, but I've seen it twice from our kids this season, you know, and it just happens, and I don't wish that upon anybody, and I hope it never happens to me. I don't even want to say it, but I had a major joint be popped out of place like that, and it doesn't look like a good situation. But yeah, and then just finishing it off there, Hudson Begley was our champion at heavyweight. All in all, it was like a really good tournament. I didn't take all of our freshman kids there. Like, we had 3 or 4 other freshmen that are in the high school lineup, and we just kind of saved them back, and more just because they're going to junior high state this weekend and stuff, and you want to only get them kids banged on so many times before the important stuff.
So after Chickasha, we had did we have Marlow after Chickasha?
Yeah, so after Chickasha, we had Marlow on Thursday. Junior high beat Marlow, high school beat Marlow.
Then we had the next door after that was Noble.
Man, actually, I think we had Chickasha the night after Marlow Dual, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Chickasha the night after the Marlow Dual. But then, yeah, Noble Dual on Tuesday. Junior high bounced back and won that. Yep, and then they were off until this following Tuesday against Cash last night, and they beat Cash, finished their season, like a bunch of wins. They only lost to, I think we were trying to figure it out today, they only lost to like 3 or 4 teams all year. They lost to Chickasha at Shawnee Duels, they lost to Bixby at Shawnee Duels, lost to Tuttle, and lost to Piedmont. So they lost 4 times this year. I don't know, they're a good little squad, and when they got them all together, they're really tough. I never really put them all together, not even for the Shawnee Duels, like, because we had kids up weights there, and I didn't have all my freshmen there, like. So putting them all together could have been interesting. They're a good, solid little group, 7th through 9th grade, and they're gonna just keep continuing. We don't have like the accolades in the 6th grade group, like kids that have placed in state and stuff like that, but we have kids like numbers and kids that I've got in at youth program, and they're going to get there, you know. Just coach, you're going to have to develop them, you know. You don't just get these grade school monsters, and you do, you know. I've got a few that came through and they've been successful at the youth level, but like, damn, most of the time you have to develop these kids. I'm having to develop them as soon as you get them in 5th and 6th grade, and then 7th and 8th where it starts getting important, and then in high school, I mean, still to this day, I was coaching a senior how to do basic things and trying to get them better, just to you know, try to go out and qualify senior year and do stuff like that.
Yeah, speaking of 5th and 6th graders, we got some 5th and 6th graders, like you said, that you're doing a really good job at developing. Man, there's a lot of them that's just going out there, and their parents have been really good about it too, you know, just get out there and getting them whatever extra stuff they can get.
Yeah, they're taking them, like, that 5th and 6th grade class, like I said, parents are taking them everywhere. They're trying to get them extra training. They're getting them private lessons. They're doing stuff like that. And I think a lot of that is just like they see the success at the high school. They see the success at the junior high. And they're like, all right, man, I need to get my kid ready. You know, he needs to be one of them killers too. And I appreciate that. Like, that helps out if you're doing it the right way. And I think our people are doing it the right way. Like, there's not a wrong way to really go and try to seek out competition and other practice if your intentions are good with it, you know, not if you're trying to live through your kid or anything. We don't really have any of those right now. Like, we have people that are trying to do the right things, and like even I have like 5th and 6th graders like doing novice stuff, and that's fine too. Like, I'll novice you and kind of baby you until I get you into 8th or 9th grade. You hit puberty, and then you know some wrestling, and you're a really good wrestler your junior, senior year in high school, you know. And sometimes to fill out a lineup of 14, you just need a good, solid senior that can go out and win the matches he's supposed to and stay in the matches that he's not supposed to.
And even that 7th grade class too, Cody, like there's a lot of 7th graders that wrestle, man.
Yeah.
A lot of 7th graders. So, and they're still developing in there too. So, I mean, we got some, I don't know, some weights we're like, what, 3 or 4 deep. I mean, they just, eventually they're going to figure it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of them, and then you'll see your front runners in like 7th and 8th grade, and then like kids have a decision to make there. If you're behind the curve, you're like, all right, am I cool just being the practice room dude all the time and using wrestling to get better at other sports and being part of a cool like environment and getting tougher? Or am I going to seek out like extra training? Am I going to do things in the off season to get better at wrestling? And a lot of kids don't. Like, they're just like, when it's wrestling season, they're mine. They're going to train hard, but man, when it's not, like, it's a different language to them. You know, they're doing football, they're doing baseball, they're doing soccer, they're doing something else. And like, I get that, but like, don't have unrealistic expectations if you're just giving me 3.5 months in the winter, you know, in all reality. You know, I get them in November, December, January, February, you know, so that's 4 months, and then you count in all the breaks and stuff in there. Like, you can't get 12-month results just training 3.5 months out of the year.
Right.
And I don't know, you don't have to be a year-round wrestler either. Like, you don't have to give up your other sports to do that. You can be devoted in like your other sports and everything and find time to lift and run and do things like that and get on the mat maybe once or twice a week, even if it's for 20 or 30 minutes. That's what a lot of them don't understand. You have to go in there and kill yourself, go in there, roll around, have some fun, do some wrestling, and like, it's all about really what your priorities are. Even that was me to like an extent in high school. Like, I loved my other sports, but I was still like trying to go to camps and train and do things throughout the spring and summer, and not so much in the fall during football, but like, it wasn't far from my mind. I knew, and like most people know, like once you've wrestled and you've done wrestling and stuff, and if you're serious about it and you don't like losing, it never really leaves your mind too far, no matter what sport you're in.
Speaking of junior high all-state tournament, we're heading to the seeding meeting right now, right?
Yeah.
What's your background?
Glamorous life with it.
Yeah, your background with wrestling and stuff. How important is this junior high tournament to get like a good look, junior high all-state look?
Man, junior high all-state's tricky, like just because it's no class, and you get a champion like team-wise,
yeah,
and you know who's going to be good coming up and stuff like that, but like still it's anybody can enter type of thing with another club, it seems like. And
well, I was going to say, instead of maybe competition, how important is it to get some good competition up here? Because you're going to get competition at junior high state.
Yeah, it's the hardest tournament. I feel like to win, at least at this like age level, I still think like winning your class in high school is really extremely hard. And a lot of people are like, well, just junior high all-state's it, you know, but you're in junior high too, you know. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to call it. It is what it is. It's a tough tournament where you get 100-man brackets and you're wrestling against everybody, but you're junior high kids. Like, people are undeveloped, brains are underdeveloped. It's hard to go beat 18-year-old men out there in your class to win your weight. So, like, I don't know. The competition is stiff, and you're going to see the toughest of the tough up here. And, yeah, kids go through the grind.
So the format, it's going to be a 2-day tournament for the boys and a 1 day for the girls. Is that how it is?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Thursday, girls. Friday, Saturday, boys. And it is the longest Friday, Saturday ever.
And so after junior high state, that pretty much wraps it up for junior high.
Yeah, I'll start sending junior high kids to other sports, except for ones that like want to hang out and get ready for youth regionals and youth state. Our club will still do that here in like 2 weeks, and then send kids to other sports, and I'll have a group that stays with me for off season, but we won't start doing that till around spring break time. Like, we just kind of get really bought into our high school season then, you know.
Can you talk a little bit more detail about the off-season program, what you mean by that, and what all that covers?
So off-season, like, and first off, if you're in middle school, I understand there's a certain group of kid that cannot fall into team line, like team sports, and don't belong in football, don't belong in other sports, and that's when they can get into off-season wrestling, you know, and I'm working them out, training them wrestling specific, lifting, running, stuff like that. We're not wrestling at that time unless it's freestyle or Greco. But Oklahoma City, we got a man dancing up there in the middle of the yard. But during that fourth hour, junior high kids that don't play another sport will be in there with me doing that for the hour. But like I said, most kids, like, you'll catch junior high kids that just think they can stay in the off season and hang out. Like, you just don't want to hang out in off season wrestling. We make it hard as hell. Like, it's no fun being in there, but you're doing things that are good, you know, that you want to get better, and you want to like bridge that gap that we talked about. That's a good way to do it. But we're encouraging most kids to go to track or go to baseball or whatever other sport, like go compete in something else. Not only is it good for the other sports, like participation wise, we're trying to share athletes and stuff like that. It's good for me not to sit there with them kids all year and coach them 9 or 10 months out of the year.
So I know we've been talking about a lot of junior high, but you would kind of just give, I don't know, just like a brief layout of what's left of the high school season.
Yeah, high school season, what we got going now is like, we're running 2-a-days with our kids, and like we do this every year. It's not just like, but that last month out of the year, last 3 weeks really, like we get into 2-a-day looks where we're trying to get the last little bit of our conditioning done and peak right. And so we'll have dual state next week on Saturday. We'll go up there to dual state and Enid and just let it fly. Like, there's a bunch of other, like, I really feel like there's probably 6 teams in there that are really good. They can match up well, and you know, things go right. They can always, anybody can beat anybody, I feel like, in the postseason. But I trust my kids in our training that we're going to go and do things right, and we'll have that dual state, and then regionals the following week. We have girls regionals on Monday and Tuesday in Yukon, so the girls will compete for a spot at the state tournament Monday and Tuesday, and then boys regionals is Friday and Saturday in Duncan, all in the same week right there. And then the following week is the state tournament, 3-day state tournament, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, that's pretty much all we got left. Just dual state right now is like our main focus, and it's stressful. I think dual state is, just to be honest with you. I like it, and I think it's fun, and you get your most excitement, I feel like, in like your team setting at dual state. And but it's stressful, man. Like, you're just dependent on a bunch of kids and everybody to do things right. And my dealings with the young adolescent teenage minds, like, nothing's ever going to go right in that sense. You're going to have to that's my bad, but it just, like I said, it's stressful just because we're trying to make sure that kids are doing everything right for the team and the team setting. And then once that's over, you know, kids start focusing on their individual goals goals. Like, I need to qualify for state. I need to place at state. Like, that's what I want. I'm trying to be a state champion. And then I feel like as a coach, like, if you just help your kids focus on their individual goals, like, that team aspect comes together probably the best.
We kind of ended the podcast last time. He was driving to Dale City, right?
Yeah, for the seating meeting.
For the seating meeting. That's kind of where we ended it at for junior high state. We talked about that.
A week ago today.
Yeah, a week ago today. We talked about the format. And so I guess it's kind of just talk about, get a rundown of how that ended, and then we'll move on.
Junior high state ended well. We performed well. We finished tied for 4th overall in the whole entire tournament, our 8th and 9th grade. So that was super cool. Like, our team always finishes up there really well, I feel like, in like the junior high state standings. We've and that's tough because, like we talked, it's all classes, but we had a champion, Braxton Antuna, won 143-pound weight class. We had a runner-up with Talon Tatanippa, who got beat in the finals. Wrestled a tremendous tournament, dominated everybody pretty much, and had a tight semis. He won, and then just came up short in the finals, wrestled his butt off. But I feel like probably in the whole junior high state competitiveness weight classes, like that 108 in the junior high division, the 8th and 9th grade division is one of the toughest weights out there, because you see a lot of high school 106 pounders, and just like, that's usually a really solid kid there. And he went out, finished 2nd. Kason Meyer finished 3rd, which I thought was awesome. Like, he got beat in the quarters on the front side by the kid that ended up being the runner-up, and came all the way back and got 3rd place. And at 150 pounds, which, like we talked about, Braxton and Kason both at 143 and 150, those are grown man weight classes too, so that's really good on their part. And then we had Daxton Bean finish 4th at 105 pounds in the 6th and 7th grade division. And for our girls, we had a runner-up in the 6th and 7th grade division with Lulu Tatanippa, very first year to wrestle, the family name, and she's in the family business now. So she went in there and got 2nd, wrestled a great tournament. I was really just like pleased with her all year, just because she has that attitude where she's kind of hard to get into, like, to coach and like personable wise, but like, she comes in, and once you get to know her, you just know she's about business. She works hard, and she's determined to be just as good as them boys. And I don't know, I'm super proud of the tournament she had. And then Riley Cottrell finished 5th for us. She's also a first-year wrestler that's a freshman in the 8th and 9th grade division. And she's a lot, like I just talked about Lulu, like, just the determination on both of those girls, I think, is really cool to see. They're both just led by great woman leaders in here with Symphony and just ones that have came before. So we're really, really just proud of those two girls for finishing up in that division.
As far as moving into high school, you want to talk about dual state this weekend, the bracket?
We have dual state this weekend. We have Guthrie first round, which will be a tough match. I feel like we'll have to go out and wrestle the best we can wrestle all year. That every match, like, we'll have to do that in the Guthrie match to make it to the Chickasha match. We'll have to do that in the Chickasha match to get into the finals match, which I'm assuming it's going to be Chickasha. I think they're a little bit better than MacArthur, but you never know. Like, we could be wrestling MacArthur too, and I'll eat my words. But yeah, we got the 2 seed, which I didn't agree with, but like, it's also fine. I didn't agree with it for one day, and then the next day I said, all right, we're going to go do what we're going to do anyways. We'll just do it the hard way. Our kids took that attitude, and that's good. Like, in the end, I think we should have been the 1 seed just because we did everything we were supposed to this year. I traveled the team, and like, I as a coach put our schedule around going and seeing these teams, and the ideas of, if we go beat them somewhere, we'll get a seat over them. But that just wasn't the case. And wrestling powers that be and this is not just the people that are in charge right now. Apparently this has just been there, and it's been one of the criterias, but they let a coach's vote come in over actual results, and I just don't agree with that. And that's my personal take on it. Like I said, I was pissed off for a day about it, and I cannot agree with it, but still had the mindset of, we're just fine, and we're going to go out and take care of business and set a good tone for the rest of the postseason. That's what a lot of people don't understand. If you're not one of these 8 teams that are like really contending for a state championship, like, you're fixing to go on a run here in the next 2.5 weeks or so, with Dual State this weekend, girls regionals Monday and Tuesday, boys regionals Friday and Saturday, and then state the following week on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You finish strong, and we've been training hard. We've been running 2-a-days like we always do, and just trying to get in the right formula to peak these kids at the right time. And that's tricky as a coach, because I just mentioned that there's like a 2.5 week window, 3 week window right there of training these kids, and you want them to peak at the right time. And like, you don't necessarily want that to be dual state for every single kid, right? Because then they might have a terrible regionals, and then you don't want it to be regionals, because then like there's a letdown at state. So you just try to do the right formula to get them where they need to be, like not only physically but mentally, and the whole road there. And like, it's just something that I try to be really meticulous about. And like, I don't sit down and write out the formula. I know what I want to do just from some of the coaches that I was raised by, and like the 2-a-day format I went through to peak for state and for nationals and stuff like that. But it's just kind of being able to feel your kids and know what they're made of and know what you need to get out of them. I feel like we're on a good path right now.
Unfortunately, this time of the season, you're not around the kids 24/7, right?
Yep.
So there's that routine that you know they need to be on. So you, as a coach, analyze like, the peak performance times, if you will, for training as well. What's something you do to kind of keep track of that?
I try to do a good job of getting eyes on their weight. If they're kids that struggle with their weight, like, you can't depend on them to tell you the truth. I know even as a kid, like when I was like, I ain't telling coach what I weigh, and stuff like that. So like, you got to be like that. And then like, I really try to be in tune with my kids. I try to talk to them and see their habits, see like if they're coming into the gym and just laying down and wanting to go to sleep everywhere, or man, are they socializing? Do they act like they want to be here, And then in practice, and like really probably more than anything, I just told Nate before he left, I was like, man, them kids were running their asses off this morning. They were running as hard as they could and determined. And he said, yeah, I saw it when you were just doing 10-second sprint in here to finish practice. And I don't know, you can just tell with kids like where they're at mentally as far as like that stuff goes. And if they're starting to burn or fade, man, they just, I don't know, some of them will, it just depends on what the person they were. Some of them will retract socially, like that wasn't me. Like I would retract socially during wrestling season a little bit. That's just because like I'd get into a tunnel vision type of thing. I don't know, you just watch them. And that's the hard thing of being a wrestling coach is, like I told Nate when we were game planning the other day, I said, man, 14 weights is a lot of weights to be nervous about. In the end, there's about 25 kids here for dual state that I'm nervous about every second. And you can, as I've like grown as a coach, like you learn that like you're not going to be able to control anything crazy like that. But as the caliber of kid has started to develop, the younger I've got them, or the more in the system they've been, I know the families are on board as well with me in that sense. So they're trying to make sure that things are done right. And I know my mom was huge, like an instrumental into me being successful in high school, just because of the routine she kept me on. And it was just like, man, and I did, like, she'd wake me up every single morning. I didn't know how to use an alarm clock until I went to college, to be honest with you. And that didn't make me, I feel like, any softer of a person once I got into college, or it didn't make me any less responsible. It's just I was lucky, like I was lucky to have that. She put me on that type of routine. Breakfast was there every morning, lunch, dinner, and just like having a bedtime literally till I was 18 years old. Like, dude, you live in our house, you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. And then like you get into that habit and that routine, you're just like, yeah, this makes sense. And when you're training hard, like, I don't know, it's just when you're doing everything right, like you can enjoy wrestling and be in the right spot. But really when you hit that like stride of your best self, like you have a weird tunnel vision, I feel like. But just like the routine of things, that's what I was trying to stress, is so like important. And parents make a big difference in that, man. If your kid goes home and they don't know what's for dinner and like it's on your own, throw something together, grab something from the store, grab something from McDonald's, Like, it's totally different than a kid that goes home. You know that there's a meal there. You know that somebody's going to put them to bed at night or make sure they're going to bed at night, make sure they're asleep. It makes a difference, and it doesn't make kids any softer. And my wife does a good job of that too.